So there are some other big players, though, that would certainly like to get into some of Google's and Facebook's business. And we're going to see some really heated competition in this area. Of course, we've been talking throughout the course about Tencent and Alibaba. We'll come back to those today. But let's bring in some of the other players in this FAANG, which is the acronym for Facebook, and Apple and Amazon. So let's do Apple first. Apple has revenue of about $88 billion. That was just in the first quarter of 2018. Now, I think the stock prices have been fluctuating with the market right now, and there are some uncertainties about iPhone demand. The stock prices tend to fluctuate with rumors in the supply base. They have launched HomePod, which is a voice-activated speaker that uses Siri's artificial intelligence voice, and that was just launched in early 2018. In later 2018, Apple was the first company to have a market capitalization of $1 trillion. So Apple is certainly a big player in the game, moving to this voice-activated speaker system in their overall ecosystem. And of course, artificial intelligence is going to be a big element of their future plays as well. Shift to Amazon. They had $177 billion in revenue in 2017. They're also the third largest retailer by sales in the world economy. They offer about 500 million products to customers, including about 500 million Amazon Prime members. And one thing we haven't talked a lot about but we've mentioned, is Amazon Web Services. And that's a computing environment where companies are able to outsource some of their computing infrastructure to Amazon, do their computations, rent that environment, pay the rent, but not have to buy that infrastructure for themselves. Now that service has more market share than its next 5 competitors combined. But a lot of these other companies we're discussing are trying to move into this the same market that Amazon Web Services plays into. Now, more and more shoppers are going directly to Amazon to search. I think you'll find that if you have an Amazon app on your phone, that you search for something, it quickly directs you right into that app so you can do additional searches inside the app. More and more shoppers then are using that, and they're bypassing the normal search engine, which is somewhat of a threat to Google's current stranglehold on that market user base. I saw a recent letter that Bezos signed off on, and it was a letter to his shareholders, and he said he wanted to remind everyone, and all of his employees especially, that every day is day one, which means that the company is always in startup mode. It's very entrepreneurial, and it's going to have to be to keep competing in this tough environment that it's in. Well, the N in the FAANG is Netflix. And Netflix dominates the streaming video market. In case you didn't know, Amazon is number 2 in that streaming video market. And it might be interesting to think about how Netflix is measuring some of its success. Right now, they just broke HBO's long run in top Emmy nominations. Basically, Netflix got 112 nominations for Emmys, which indicates the quality and the penetration of its new streaming videos into the marketplace, going after those cable cutters and others who are looking at new ways to find their content. Now, Netflix owes still a great deal of money on its balance sheet, but it has a user base of about 118 million people worldwide as of 2017. Its valuation is about $151 billion. According to facts that I saw, that was in May 2018. And that amount, that valuation is actually higher than both Disney and Comcast. So you can see how quickly and how fast Netflix has become a major player in content delivery for things like movies and other television type content. So let's shift gears now a little bit and go to some of the up and coming competitors, a couple of whom we've already talked about. So the three I want to mention are Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. And those often go by the acronym BAT, or I'll just say BAT for short. Let's look at each of those companies and where they stand in this competitive market space. Baidu earned $11 billion in 2017, and it controls 75% of the Chinese search market. It was founded in 2000 by Robin Li and Eric Xu. Over the 2000s, the Chinese government grew a web censorship program that did impact the market significantly, and Google actually withdrew from the market for a time. Baidu did follow the Chinese censorship rules, and it fended off competitors, and it really is the dominant Chinese search engine player today. They are investing heavily in AI right now to enhance and personalize their user experience. We'll talk a little bit more in another discussion about their engagement in AI. Now let's shift to Alibaba, the A in BAT. As of 2017, Alibaba's Tmall controls 51% of the Chinese e-commerce market. Its investment in data management have improved its relationship with its suppliers, and actually it's really making a strong move into mobile payments. Now they're a lot more popular in China than they are in the US and other parts of the world. For example, $9 trillion in payments were made via mobile payments in 2016 in China, and the US was $112 billion in payment in that same time period. So you can see the vast difference. They have a subsidiary called Ant Financial, and it gets a cut from the mobile payments in China that it handles. So Alibaba is a big player moving towards this potentially very lucrative payment type of industry, which may serve to disrupt a lot of the financial institutions as we know them. Now, of course, you also know that there's Apple Pay and other types of payment systems that are emerging from these top companies we've been discussing. I should also say Alibaba's Ant Financial is adding more services. It's now into wealth management. I think it has about $760 million in assets under management. And it's into small business loans. It has about 3 million users, according to my facts, in 2016. And it's also into insurance with 380 million users in that same time frame. So you can see each of these players is making major moves to disrupt other industries with their vast capital and their large user bases and their significant network effects. Well, there's one more to mention that we've talked about before, and that's Tencent. Now, their WeChat Pay in their payments market has a 40% share of the mobile payments market in China, and that was in 2017. They have 1 billion active users, and their users collectively spend 1.7 billion hours a day on Tencent apps. That's more than all the other Chinese apps combined. Now, Tencent doesn't rely heavily on advertising. That's about 18% of revenue. Their major revenue comes from value-added services like games and subscriptions. Now, they are also moving to invest in AI. It's probably not a big surprise. They have a smart speaker with AI voice and, of course, a WeChat search engine built in. So I know I've quoted now a lot of facts and figures to you and beyond just Facebook and Google that you read about, but I think now you can really get a feel for and understand the potential of the competitors in the space that we've been discussing in this class, and how IT has enabled business to really change things and redo many of the old business logic and rules that we knew before. We've covered a lot of the frameworks and the vocabulary relevant to all of those changes, and now we're going to be involved in watching and monitoring how these companies might evolve and compete. One of the interesting things about that is as you consider your career or your investment opportunities, these are certainly going to be some of the biggest movers and shakers in the industry. So I really think the competition among these major platform providers is going to get really tough. They're expanding into similar territories. They're starting to overlap each other. And almost all of them are taking a look at the evolution to mobile payments as the next disruption to be ready for. Question is, where will they compete? Will it be all over the globe, or will certain companies be able to stay in their geographical areas? How will the political climate play out for all of these competitors as they make inroads into each other's markets? And of course, we all wonder who's going to win because that's who we want to go to work for and who we want to invest in. All of these companies have excellent network effects. They manage all of their platform sides really well, and they're really well funded in order to make their next moves. So it's going to be an exciting time to watch, and I think this course hopefully has provided you with a new lens into how this competition will play out. Thanks.